They'll go through the coaching and then they'll get a girlfriend, and they will
Drop.
Yeah, they won't get the. I mean, you do pace with your girlfriend as well. It's all ACT leadership all the time, but getting experience of those systems create a structure for your experience. So your experience is sort of this random, just like a lot of stuff happening, and what you want to do is sort of fit it into a structure, and that accelerates your learning tremendously. So getting experience with a lot of different women. I mean, I'm always challenging myself. I'll see a woman and think like, oh, I've never talked to a woman like that.
Yeah.
Well, that's the reason to talk to her.
Yeah.
So getting a lot of experience just talking to different women. So, whether you want to set a goal like 10 a day, or just tell yourself, like, every time I see a woman that I want to sleep with, I'm going to say something. And make the most out of it. So during the day, talking to women whenever you see them. And then at night, I would say go out maybe once a week sober and try to talk to 5 women. And then maybe another night a week, give yourself, leeway, 2 to 4 beers, 2 to 5 beers, something like that. Just be careful of driving.
Right.
But going out twice a week. And really, I mean, you're talking 3 to 6 months before you're better than 99% of guys out there. And then at that point, it's just like, what's possible? What else do I want to do?
Nice. Okay.
So it's just a matter of months if you really put in the time. And again, figure out a system or a structure that you understand and you really resonate with. Something that you feel like, okay, I can see myself doing this. If it doesn't feel right to you, if you're like, I'm going to have to change my personality, I'm going to have to remember a bunch of stuff. I don't know. If my friends saw me doing this, they would be like, what the hell's wrong with him? If that's how you feel about a system, some technique or structure that you have, don't use it. Find something that you feel like you could be congruent with, that you would have fun doing, and keep reviewing that. Go out, review it. Two other things actually. Keep a journal. So every time you go out, with every approach, every legit effort you make to connect with a woman, try to write 2 or 3 things that you did right and 2 or 3 things that you could improve on, and just keep an approach journal. That helped me a ton. I mean, I have stacks of just notebooks. This was back in the day, notebooks, But I like to write it out anyway. That's sort of, I guess there's a brain learning thing going on. And speaking of brain, like unconscious or brain-based learning, take breaks. Maybe if you've been going out a lot, talking to a lot of women for 3-4 weeks, chill for a week. Just forget about women for a week. I don't mean forget about women. You're still gonna have your sex drive, but just give yourself a break. Don't worry about it for a little while. And what happens with that is your brain needs time to process new experiences. You actually learn while you're sleeping because there's all this new information jumbled up in your short-term memory, and it needs time to process in your long-term. And that's what's happening with dreams is your brain's actually chunking all these experiences into long-term memories. And there was one other thing. Boost your testosterone up. If you can get your sex drive to outweigh your anxiety, a lot of times guys who are good with women just have high testosterone. And I've heard that when guys take steroids, they tend to start sleeping with a lot more women. They did studies with guys in fraternities, guys who were taking steroids versus guys who were not, and how many sexual partners they had. Guys who were taking steroids would sleep with more women. They were just more aggressive, more fired up. There's a pheromone element where women can. There's pheromones going on. There's a whole level that we're not even aware of where, if you've ever been with a woman that you thought was pretty, but for some reason when things were getting closer, you didn't feel you weren't getting hard, you just didn't feel that sexual passion for her, that's probably a pheromone thing going on. Whereas some women, maybe she's not even the cutest girl, but geez, you just can't go down around her,
Can you explain more about the pheromone?
Pheromones are basically hormones that are, what's the word? They're expelled. They're in your sweat, basically, and it's an unconscious scent. There's a chemical reaction. So it's in your sweat. There's this chemicals being released through your sweat that that other people unconsciously smell, and it triggers a chemical reaction in the brain. Pheromones is a real thing that's happening. So that's kind of the example I gave, was like, if you've been with a woman that you thought physically looked nice, but just you didn't feel that animal urge to just bend her over, you didn't feel that. That's probably a pheromone incompatibility. And vice versa, a guy who maybe, let's say he's taking steroids and his testosterone is fired up, right? Women can literally smell that, although they're probably not conscious of it. Now, I don't advocate steroids. That was a study to illustrate a point. There's more natural, healthy ways to keep your testosterone up. Don't overdo the long distance running and cardio. I mean, that'll lower it. But heavy weights, train with heavy weights, like 2-3 times a week, bench press, squat, low reps, high intensity, high weight. The more explosive the movement, the better. So when I do squats, I can actually jump up at the end, your feet come off the ground. Yeah. Bench press. I do sprints, which is a very explosive movement. That gets me really fired up. Deadlifts, farmer walk. Pull-ups are good, or heavy lat pull downs. There's some supplements you can take. Tomcat Ali, TONGKAT, ALI. Tribulus is okay for me. It's kind of giving me hot temper issues. ZMA at night, zinc magnesium, aspartamate or something at night. Well, you'll start waking up with raging morning wood, and as you get older, that can be inconsistent.
Got it.
So yeah, and really cut the sugar and refined carbs. And so basically, what I'm saying, and cut porn, cut it. If you can, just get fucking rid of porn. Stop looking at porn. If you need to masturbate because you're not having sex and you're starting to fucking lose your mind, try to do it every 7 days. That's when your T peaks, your testosterone peaks.
That was actually my next question. Was there's a lot of new studies coming out where there's a website, there's TED Talks where it's talking about the effects of excessive masturbation and pornography, and the effects that it has on men, and how it ruins their image of what sex really is and what it should be like for the women. Mm-hmm. But some of these studies are saying women or men are losing their sex drive, mm-hmm. and they're losing their energy and their drive for life because when you masturbate, you're letting your life out. Yeah. I mean, you were just talking about that. If you could talk more about that.
I've tried different things. One thing I do, this is kind of a little crazy. One thing I do is I call them Stalins, and the idea is that Stalin did this, and that's why he was such a nut job.
What did you do?
You basically masturbate to the point of no return, and then you clench your Kegel muscle, so no cum comes out, and so it stays in you, and then you'll notice 10 minutes, 15 minutes later, you're fired up. That will blast your teeth through the roof. That's just a little technique that I've used before. I'll do that and then go lift weights. It's a little out there. Guys can play with it if they want. But what you're essentially doing is you're spiking your testosterone, and then you're not releasing. And you can start to get really, and you can't do it too much because you'll be walking around, you feel like your balls are 10 pounds each, and you just be like, oh my God.
Yeah.
So don't overdo it. But I would say maybe if you want, there's a study that says 7 days it takes for your testosterone to peak after an ejaculation. Maybe every 7 days do a couple Stalins that day. And that could maintain. There's also yoga stuff or tantra stuff, or you get that your root chakra start circulating your energy. I've tried that a little bit. It takes commitment to get going with that, but you can really, I from what I understand, really magnify and cultivate your life energy, your kundalini, right? Your chi, right? It's all the same thing,
right?
So if you're more spiritually minded, or you're ready to commit to stuff like that, check it out. David Deida, Deida, talks a lot about that.
Way to Disappear, man.
Yeah, that's an amazing book. That's a great book. But I agree, and I know. I mean, I'm I've looked at way too much porn in my life, just probably like every other guy, and it's so common and socially accepted now.
Yeah.
That we tend to think that it's like it's normal. Like, oh yeah, oh dude, I saw this awesome porn the other day. Check out this website, it's awesome. And we just talk about it like it's no big deal. Yeah. But it's so unnatural to see that many naked women, and also to watch other guys fucking these women. It's just weird. We're not
You're a spectator, and
I've gone for extended periods without looking at porn, and then what happens is you start to see women. They just like it's like they're more exciting. Like even just like women that maybe were average looking before.
Yeah.
You're just like on fire. You're just like, oh my god, it's a woman. Like, yeah, you get really excited. It's like they there's a light. They seem brighter.
Yeah.
They shine brighter.
Radiant.
Yeah, they seem more radiant to you. It wakes you up.
Yeah.
So yeah, banish the porn. Possible. I know everyone's always on their laptop, and it's such a temptation. Like it's a click away. You can see whatever you want.
Yeah.
With
the hottest girl ever.
It's I don't know, man. Government conspiracy. They're trying to turn us all into zombies.
Yeah. I was out at a comedy club the other day, and the girl was saying the reason why China is beating America is because they're inventing shit over there. In America, we're all masturbating. We're just masturbating and watching Netflix.
Yeah.
But
I'm not gonna argue with it. I mean, there's some truth to that.
All right, moving forward. All right, so in this last section, we're gonna deep dive some big questions here that are really going to open up Brian and some of the experiences that he's had on his journey into where he is now today. So we'll start the first question off with, what's the best dating advice you have ever received?
I've ever received? Probably two things. One was from Vin.
Yeah. You're
always penetrating. That right there kind of just sums up how you relate to women, your connection with women. You're always penetrating. That I think you just said that as a side, and that really just when I heard that I was like, that's what I needed to hear at the time. I wasn't thrusting, I wasn't penetrating, I wasn't escalating, I was pulling back. So when I heard that changed a lot. The other one, there's a guy named Wayne Elise. He used to go by Juggler. I learned a lot from, and he said, what did he say? Just say yes, which is actually a rule of improv. A lot of the stuff he talks about comes from like improv theater, improvisation theater, and there's so many parallels with what works in improv and what works socially. And he said something like, just always say yes. Just say yes to whatever she says or whatever's happening in the moment. Say yes to it. And what that really means is play with it. Keep playing. Don't stop. Don't get stuck in the moment. Keep playing. That could even mean saying literally, like verbally saying no, but you're saying yes in the sense that you're playing. So if she's like I said, like if a girl is maybe you're talking to her, she starts dancing to a song, and she one of those corny like Will I Am songs, saying like no, stop, don't do that, don't.
Yeah.
Now I'm saying verbally, I'm saying no, but I'm actually saying yes to playing with you. And when you can stop resisting, and this applies in life. I mean, this is like Buddhist stuff, right?
Right.
But stop resisting what life is showing you, what's arising in the moment, and instead play with it. That's how I interpreted that piece of advice. So those are the two best pieces of advice I've gotten. The best piece of advice I give, like if I'm at a party,
right,
and I tell somebody like I'm a dating coach, and they're like, "Well, really, Mr. Expert? Okay, so tell me what's the first thing?" And it's always guys. Like women are always like, "Oh, that's so awesome. Guys need this," and then guys are always like, "Well, you should hire me. So tell me, Mr. Expert, what do you how blah blah blah." And I'm like, okay, well, basically, number one, don't try to be confident. That's the most common advice guys get is just be confident, right? Worst advice you can give. Because confidence is about beliefs, and it takes time to develop beliefs. But really, I mean, you think about somebody who's really confident, like Michael Jordan, that's the guy I grew up watching, right? Or nowadays it'd be like LeBron James, Kobe Bryant.
Right.
These guys are sort of like cocky, really confident, very skilled basketball players. But when that guy's shooting his jumper, he's not thinking, this is going in. What's actually happening is his eyes are focused on the back of the rim. There is no thinking. He's just shooting a jumper. Okay? He's taking that jumper because he usually makes that shot. And that's actually what Jordan would say after he missed a shot, is he would say, I usually make that shot. So confidence is not about being certain of a positive outcome. Confidence is a belief that you can handle what comes your way, and you have the ability to achieve this task. Okay, anyways, that's why I say trying to be confident, like you see a girl, just go up and act confident. Acting, deception, bad. She'll sense it right off the bat. And also, you won't actually be able to be confident because it takes 2 seconds to walk up to her. That's not enough time to develop a whole network of beliefs about yourself.
Yeah.
That takes months, years sometimes. Forget confidence. Instead, give confidence. Give confidence to others. Go up and make that woman feel sexy.
Very good stuff. All right, next question, very short. If you could recommend one book to the audience, what would it be?
The Bhagavad Gita, translated by W.J. Johnson. Or maybe My Secret Garden by Nancy Friday.
All right. What was holding you back from being successful with women when you first started?
I was just terrified of people in general. I had severe social anxiety. I have like mild panic attacks every time I was in groups of people. Just heart beating and yeah. And it was because I was worried that I was doing it wrong, that everyone else knew this. Everyone else got the instruction manual and I didn't. That's how just growing up. And I think it came from when I was growing up, especially when I was really young, I was alone a lot. And there weren't other kids in the apartment complex I lived in. We lived in low-income housing. But I went to an elementary school that had a lot of rich kids. And I remember one time, the kids, I got dropped off and there were a bunch of kids in the car and they all started teasing me for living in a poor house, right? So, I didn't play with kids at school and there was no kids in the complex. And so the first, when we moved, first 7 years of my life, I was just by myself a lot. And so I think I didn't get the social exposure that other kids did. And, I played with Legos and G.I. Joes just by myself in my room a lot. Every day I was by myself. So when it came time, starting, you're 12, 13, 14, high school parties, I was just so awkward. And what was the question again? What was I like?
What was holding you back? So you said social anxiety.
Just fear in general. It's always fear. Feeling like you're not good enough, feeling like you're doing it wrong. That's what was holding me back.
How did you overcome that?
Figuring out who I wanted to be and then focusing on that and developing that. And almost not thinking that everyone else was wrong, but allowing myself to have my own rules. So instead of walking into a social situation thinking, how should I act? I would instead walk into a social situation and find people that I wanted to connect with. So more of a team building focus rather than approval getting focus.
I like that. So actually just to keep going on that, when you were first starting out, when did you have an I made it moment where I've made it, I've got this area of my life handled and now I'm beginning to help others? You've gone from student to intermediate